Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. If you're noticing some difference with the camera, that suntan that I had is disappearing, as you see. Welcome to the show, watching Verizon 32, Comcast 7. Check us out on Facebook. We just hit a new high. Thank you for everybody. 2,400 likes.
Yes.
We're moving on, and we'll like whatever you guys have, within reason, as I say. So thanks again for that. And we have a great show for you. I want to thank John the Tiger Kiger coming out when everybody's getting TP, milk, even peanut butter, and some salt, because we've got a storm coming. We're not worried about it. We've got an hour of sports here for you. We'll give you a little distraction. My name is Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hainer, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Zach Brenner, Little Z. And we start our first segment off with What's on Our Mind? Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, I'm going to tell you guys what's on my mind tonight. And what's on my mind tonight is hockey. Olympic hockey, to be exact. Because the Olympics will have already started.
Live TV.
By the time we get back next Tuesday, the Olympics will already have started, and I'm pulling for Team USA. But the other thing that's on my mind, I said hockey, so I still get to stay with it, is
One subject.
Marc-Andre Fleury last night, while the show was going on in the third period, made one of the most phenomenal saves that I've seen probably in the last 5 to 6 years. Unlike Smoking Jim's best meatball hoagie every 2 weeks. So about 6 years, Marc-Andre Fleury's been doing it. Like I said, he's the cornerstone of the franchise right now. What he does in the net is really going to take the Penguins far. Hopefully, man, and this is my hope, is that he's not wasting himself in the regular season and sputters out in the playoffs, as Chip has alluded to, because we don't really have a true backup goalie right now. We have Zakhoff, and hopefully Vokun gets better here quickly, as they got him working out and finally taking shots now since he's coming back from his blood clot problem that he had. But like I said, I'm pulling for Team USA. The Penguins here, I think they got, a game or two before. They got 2 games before the Olympic break.
Maybe 3.
In Buffalo tomorrow night, and I believe there's one more.
Well, hopefully Ryan Miller brings it for Team USA in goal, and I expect big things from Team USA, and that's who I'm pulling for in the Olympics, and that's what's on my mind, folks.
Thanks, Zach Brenner. Appreciate that. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine. And I want
the widescreen. You can see us.
And I also want to thank you for my This Week in Black History. And you put up that it's Rosa Parks' birthday today. So happy birthday, Rosa Parks.
Born in 1913, Smoking Jim.
That's going back. But
back.
George Washington Carver.
But what's on my mind is heavy money. And of course, I successfully predicted that Seattle would beat me and Chip, that would beat Denver. My prediction was a little bit off. I said Seattle would win 42-14, and I said that Percy Harvin would be the MVP of the game. So those predictions almost came real close. But the reason a lot of people asked me last night at Sip Sports Bar,
and every day since you mentioned it,
why did I pick Seattle? And because I always tell people there's 4 speeds to football, National Football League. There's preseason speed, regular season speed, playoff speed, and Super Bowl speed. And people have to realize, and I had mentioned this before the Super Bowl, of course, that you've seen that Seattle team and how fast they were moving. They didn't move like that all year long. So I knew that was going to happen in the playoffs. And also, defense wins championships. If you look back years ago, you guys may have remembered when Tony Dungy coached Tampa Bay. I thought that they would beat the greatest show on turf, the Rams. And it was 11-5, and that was a bad call by Tampa Bay. They might have won that game, and everybody was real surprised about that happening. But Seattle does have a chance. Finally, Seattle has a chance to repeat, and because their quarterback Russell Wilson has gotten blacklisted, and most people don't realize that most people don't realize that when you sign a rookie contract, they cannot renegotiate that contract under the new labor agreement for 3 years.
Right.
So Russell Wilson is going to have to play under that same salary. So that gives an opportunity for Seattle to give quarterback money, infuse quarterback money into the rest of the team. Only one problem with Seattle repeating is the Arizona Cardinals is in that same division. San Francisco 49ers is in that same division. And now the Rams being led by Coach Fisher and Bountygate, Greg Williams just got hired as their defensive coordinator. So I think that may be the greatest division in NFL history. And that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. You come up with some more outstanding stuff that's slightly controversial. We appreciate it.
Slightly.
A little sarcasm goes a long way.
I'm on.
These cameras are, the color's just off between me and
Me
Smoking
and Lil
Jim.
Z looks alike. Showing him when they should be
Thanks to
on me,
live
brother.
TV and Bethel Park. Look at Chip. Let's go to Chip right now. Chip Painter, what's on your mind? Well, we got the
Thanks,
rainbow effect.
Thanks, Alan. And, you know, a lot of different things happened in sports. You know, of course, you know, there was the Super Bowl, and we'll probably talk more about that as the show goes on. And, you know, and yeah, Marc-Andre Fleury did make one of the best saves I've ever seen him make last night. That was a phenomenal save. Not a lot of people make that save. You know, but what's on my mind, there's a couple of things on my mind, and I'm only going to elaborate on one of them. But, you know, one of the things is this Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin saga. Now the texts are coming out, and we're finding out that, you know,
There's more to it.
much ado about nothing, you know. But really, what's on my mind, and Zach kind of touched on it because he's wearing his USA colors today, and you know, and we all want to be proud of our countries. But the Winter Olympics in Sochi are coming up next week, and that has got me concerned very gravely for the safety of the people that are going to the Olympics, for the athletes that are participating in the Olympics, and for the lack of preparation that the Russian government has for the Olympic Village and I believe security there. Now, you know, there's been a number of different terrorist attacks in and around the Sochi area. The terrorists are saying that they're going to make some kind of a statement with an attack, you know, against Russia. And then Russia, of course, has got some policies that are unfavorable to a lot of the world organizations. You know, it's against the law in Russia to be gay, you know, and are people going to try to protest that? Also, you know, that I'm reading an article in the paper today about the packs of stray dogs that are roaming all over the city of Sochi, and this is something that that you know is happens in Russia. And basically, what the dogs, these stray animals, they congregate around construction sites because the construction workers will feed the animals. So last week, while they were running practice for the opening ceremonies, they had these wild animals running out onto the field, and so now they've got people with guns that are shooting the animals to kill them. So I'm waiting for PETA and the rest of these idiots that complain about
This is a disclaimer.
Cruelty
That's his
to
own
animals
opinion.
to get out there and start protesting. But, you know, what my point being is the Russians aren't able to protect their own people. How are they going to protect all the nations of the world? And I swear what the United States should do is to take a couple of divisions of Marines and park an aircraft carrier right off the coast there and have a quick strike team ready to take the athletes out of there, because I have a real bad feeling that you know, somebody's going to do something on a worldwide stage to the Olympics, and that's what's on my mind.
We're going to revisit that
Who
stuff.
let the dogs out?
Russia. Russia did.
Hello?
You know what?
Alrighty.
What's on my mind? We'll have to wait. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
Zach?
No, this is Pittsburgh Sportsline. You're talking to Al Levine, the talking machine. I put Zach in a closet right now. We're not going to let him out.
Promise?
Well, when I meet you in person, you'll know that I'm serious.
All right, good stuff. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Zach's right here listening. We're all on the air. This is live TV. You want to state your name and what you want to talk about?
Well, I'm George Phillips, and friend of Zach. He asked me to calling tonight to talk about the sweet science and possibly my house candidacy.
Okay, well, we'll try to talk about one more than the other, and you can talk about it.
I don't blame you.
We're on public access TV. You're supposed to actually give a 30-day notice at least that you're going to talk about politics. So I will ask you. Yeah, I'm serious. You can check it in Ohio, too, if you want. It just sounds like I make this stuff up, but there are rules to public access that are a little different than regular TV. You don't necessarily have to have your competitors on, but you're supposed to give a 30-day notice. So we don't want to get in trouble with the FCC. But we'll try to mention what you're running for, and since you're a ring announcer, maybe you can just shout it out at one time or another in this corner, weighing in
Okay, you got it.
at 285 pounds and 3/4 and stuff like that.
Sounds good.
Go ahead. Tell us about the sweet science.
Well, I met Zach, a while back working for Roy Jones Jr. and TNT Promotions, and he's been very, very accommodating to me. We've gained a quick friendship in a very short period of time. And, like I said, he asked me to come on tonight, talk with you guys about boxing, see what's going on in the sport, and see if I can even put some input in.
Well, that'd be great. Matter of fact, I have a common thread that you share with Zach. Last year around this time, Smoking Jim Frazier and I were announcing a boxing match ringside.
Okay.
And, Zach's not a small guy, so he kept mentioning he was swearing and stuff like, who's smoking Jim and why are all these ring card girls coming in and announcers like myself and everybody else with no tickets because I'm security. So make a long story short, he's now been on our show this past year. He's on both of our shows now. We do a show on Monday night that's in a bar, and the live studio show's on the night. So Zach's a good connector for people. Plus, he's a good businessman, too.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
And what are you doing this week or the next couple of weeks? You announcing any fights or?
I actually have a few shows coming up. This weekend I'm doing a mixed martial arts show in Youngstown, Ohio. The promoter's a gentleman named Chuck Haskell, and he does. It's called Brawl Room.
I think I met Chuck at the Kumite Classic last year.
Chuck's good people. He was one of the first promoters when I started ring announcing to give me a shot. So anytime Chuck has a show, unless I'm out of town for whatever reason, I always make sure I do Chuck stuff. He's been very, very good to me. And then following that, in February, I will be in Columbus doing announcing work for 4 days for the Arnold Sports Festival.
Really?
Yes, I will be doing the mixed martial arts for Troy Speakman and Bob Lorimer on Thursday night. Saturday, they will be doing professional boxing. And then during the, if you want to call it downtime, during the day on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Toki Hill, one of the Team USA coaches for karate and martial arts, hired me to do MC work in the big Columbus Pavilion or arena, whatever you want to call it there,
right.
Convention Center. And I always feel like the old announcer from Karate Kid doing like a kumite or something.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. I get to work with a guy named Kevin Cullen. He's out of Findlay, Ohio. Great MC announcer as well. So it's a good time. It's a good time. And then we're working on the next Roy Jones Jr. show, hopefully at Mountaineer, upcoming in the spring. We're in talks right now with Showbox to possibly get to do the Cleveland show coming up on February 21st.
Okay.
So there's a lot of good stuff coming up on my end. It's fun.
Well, maybe we can meet you if you're in West Virginia come springtime. We'd like to meet you in West Virginia there.
Well, three of us were at the last. What did you think of that Spot of 4 decision, George, at the last fight down at Mountaineer?
That was close. That whole fight was close. It's hard to. It was weird because I'm going to answer it like a judge. Because before I got into ring announcing, I was a boxing judge in Ohio for a number of years. And what was interesting about that fight is, when you sit and judge a fight, there's 4 angles that you're going to see. The first angle is the fans, if they're watching on TV. The second angle is the other 3 judges. So what may look like a clean punch on one end of the ring is necessarily not a clean punch on the other side of the ring. It was blocked by the gloves, but the one judge didn't see that. So I was surprised to a degree that it went to Perez. A draw I could have lived with. It was a good fight, and quite frankly, I hope Mark and them are trying to put together a rematch because I think that would be a very, very good fight.
Yeah, that would be. We're a little prejudiced here with the Pittsburgh kid. We thought he had about 8 rounds, actually, with what we were watching from the media area that we saw the fight. So he just...
I was praying he was going to win. I mean, Paul, you know, I haven't known Paul. You guys have known him a heck of a lot longer than I have. But, you know, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has their you-know-what in life.
Sure.
And, you know, this country... I'm going to sound like a politician. This country's...
Hold it, aren't you a politician? I heard you're running for an office in Ohio. You are.
I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant. But anyways... You know,
We don't hold that against you either way, because right now you're supposed to work for us in our country. And I'll give you a little joke. The approval rating for Congress and everything is about 5% by the public. Now, I always hear in the elections, and you're a pretty smart guy, so I think you'll get this. There's usually a margin of error, 3 to 5%, and you got it.
You know, well, do another poll once I'm in there for a term. Then you'll see that shootout.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, George. I just met you, and you're pretty quick there. I'd like to have a debate with you, but we'll see what platform you're on in Ohio, because it's a little different out there. That state's pretty flat compared to our state here, you know?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But, you know, this country's built on second chances, and I would love to have seen Paul win that title. He's worked his tail off to get back to the top. You know, a lot of people said he couldn't, and there was the people around him like Tom and various other people that just never gave up on him, and he never gave up on himself.
Well, look at the shape that he was in, George, for 38 years old.
Oh, my God, I can't run up downstairs at 39 and without getting gas.
You're 39. You sounded young like Little Z here. We call Zach Little Z.
But I really think, I mean, I don't think, you know, a friend of mine years ago, Nick Furtha, boxer out of Akron, fought a ranked heavyweight who was trained by Teddy Atlas. His name slips me, but I remember Teddy Atlas coming up to Nick after the fight. Nick lost the fight and said, "Son, the only thing you did tonight was help yourself." So I hope that this fight helps Paul. You know,
It didn't.
He got the loss underneath him. Fine, whatever, it's over. And you know, I think he proved to himself and to his team and to the world that he can bang with the best at 38 years old, and I think he deserves another title shot.
We believe you, but our thing is, if he would have won that fight, money would have had to play and box him, because he surely didn't want him to win 50, and you know how that goes in boxing. So with that being, you know, going by the wayside, it's going to be hard. We don't feel in Pittsburgh, Smoking Jim Frazier is one of the other guys on the show here, and the feeling is it did not help him at all, because we know the heart that he has. Anybody that could come back from everything that had happened in his life, even how he grew up, to even get to where he was, let alone where he is today, is a miracle in itself.
Yeah, he's good people. Like I said, I hope he climbs back in that ring again. Because from an announcer standpoint, you got to kind of sit there and be a little, neutral,
Right.
And being the ring announcer. But I mean, it took everything in me not to just start going crazy watching that fight. And he's always been, from my perspective, very nice, and it's a thrill to get to announce him. So I hope I get the chance to do it again.
Well, I'm sure you will, because he will fight again. It just depends on the caliber of his opponent there, whether he gets rematches or whatever else. We'll find that out. But hey, we're going to have to move on with our show. But where do you live in Ohio? Just so I can get...
I live in Willoughby, Ohio, which is in Lake County, right on the border of Lake and Cuyahoga County. It's roughly about 3 hours to Pittsburgh and about 2.5 hours from where my whole family's from, and that's Weirton, West Virginia.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll root for you, and good luck on your big day. When's your big day?
Well, the filing deadline is tomorrow, and technically the primary is May 6th. As of 7:19 tonight, I do not have a primary opponent, but that can change by 4 o'clock tomorrow. But assuming there's no primary opponent, then we go right to the general, which is Election Day in November. So we're working hard. We're already going door to door. We're already doing everything that we need to do and getting the name out there and just trying to connect with voters to tell them you're going to finally be represented.
Well, I appreciate it. Where could people find out about you?
They can check out my website, which is phillipsforohio.com. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, Phillips for Ohio. And I'm going to tell any listener out there that is listening that hits my website, don't judge me on my website. I did it myself, try to save a few bucks. And I caved and called a friend of mine who's a web designer by trade, and he actually told me, he says, I've been meaning to get into doing websites for political people. He says, so I'll in kind donate my services to you if you would refer me after the election if you're happy with your work. So he's working on it right now. So we're going to have a really nice site up soon. But
all right, enough of the politics. I want to know where they get a hold of you for ring announcing to find out your body of work. Forget all that politics, because I'd like to have a debate with you. I don't care what party you're with. Okay?
Ring announcing, they can call me at area code 440-520-9828. Best way to get a hold of me.
You don't have a website or anything, or Facebook with that?
I do not have a website or Facebook yet with my ring announcing.
Well, you got to have something. You got to like our page. Are you on Facebook at all?
I am on Facebook.
Well, go to Alan Levine. You got to like me. I need a couple more friends. But seriously, go to Pittsburgh Sportsline and like our page there. We'd appreciate that, George. You'll see all the fights we put up. This show will be put up there. It's on YouTube. And it's definitely on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook once this is uploaded. Right now it's being broadcast live in the greater Pittsburgh area. So
I liked your page. I liked the Pittsburgh Sportsline page today, actually, so now I'm going to hunt for yours.
Okay. That's ALLENLEVINE, and it rhymes with machine, talking machine. So, George, it's been a pleasure. Anything you want to say to Zach before we get rid of you?
Zach, you know what? I'm going to tell you something, buddy. Thank you for everything, and you know what I'm talking about. I appreciate it.
You got it, George.
And you're welcome from us, too.
Good luck, George.
And I don't know what you're talking about.
Good luck with everything, George.
I just friend requested you, so.
And that's Chip Hayner. I'm Al Levine. You got Smoking Jim Frazier. He needs a couple friends. All right, George. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thanks
for calling in.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
That was one of our longest calls in history.
That was good.
Yeah, they gave you some insight as to how you get different points of view from different perspectives.
Four perspectives.
I mean, it still doesn't make it right, but it kind of
8 rounds is 8 rounds out of 12.
Well, it depends on
It just goes
everybody
to show
sees
you
it differently. So
how boxing is so tight knit in Western Pennsylvania, because that's how
And that was
all
what
came
was
about.
on my mind. We'll go. That was my shortest. What's on your mind? We'll go right to revisitation. We're at the 35 minutes to go mark, so I forget what you guys were talking about, but I know I wanted to revisit a couple things.
Well, one thing I enjoyed, everybody was talking about the great play that Fleury made in the net, but what I enjoyed most was the fighting in hockey.
Really?
I think it was great.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Well,
I think that.
Then you left.
What
I
I
think
would
there
like
needs
to
to be more fights.
what I would like to quickly revisit.
Take your
I got
time.
2 points here. I got 2 points.
Bring
I'm going to
3
go
up.
with Tiger Woods, and I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. Neither of those two fellows
Tiger Woods come on.
was on Oprah until they started to win, and as soon as they won, then they got drafted and then they got accepted. So it just goes to show you
What?
that sometimes some folks are on the cusp, but then as soon as you get success and you win, now all of a sudden they pull you back in. So that's what I wanted to revisit. And I also heard a little buddy that said Russell Wilson could also default and go play for the Texas Rangers and play baseball.
Well, he doesn't
and just
have to
retire from
default.
football.
Bo did the whole thing anyhow. He did baseball and football.
So Chip's a baseball guy, but Russell Wilson, the rights do belong to the Texas Rangers.
well, yeah,
He can play.
and they do. And then and another amazing thing is that Jameis Winston, the quarterback for the Florida State Seminoles. he was selected as an All-American in baseball. And so here we may have another two-sport athlete coming out. I'm interested to see how he plays. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that.
What position he plays in baseball? Outfield, I would assume.
I am not sure. I just read that he was an All-American in baseball. But Jim, I want to speak to your one comment about the hockey game, and you said you really enjoyed the fighting. Being
he's a boxing announcer.
Being the student of hockey that you are, okay? What I would like you to really pay attention to at the Olympics. Watch Olympic hockey.
There won't be any fighting.
He won't be watching.
Fighting is banned in Olympic hockey, and watch how much you enjoy that game. It's played on a bigger ice surface, and there's
Chip,
no
I hate
fun.
to interrupt you. He's not going to watch hockey. He don't like to skate. He doesn't understand the beauty and the skill of it, nor does he want to. Because I've told him, his boy Yager, who's one of the greatest, he could skate. Nobody could knock him off his
We've
feet.
been talking with Gordy Howe,
the medals
Wayne
are on the
Gretzky.
line.
We've been texting all day.
It'll get interesting when the medals are on the
I
line.
understand.
And when Lil Z was shoveling my driveway, we was talking all
Again, did he get it today?
Smoking Jim Frazier asked me why they didn't play hockey in Africa.
Zach was shoveling his driveway, and Jim was driving his
They don't
Zamboni.
have. I just wanted to tell you, they don't have ice there, except in the mountains in Africa.
He was driving his Zamboni.
That's what Jim Frazier said it's going to take to get him into hockey.
Hey, you guys know another two-sport guy that played football and was in both a Super Bowl and a World Series?
Deion
Sanders.
That's why we're on
Prime
Pittsburgh Sportsline.
Prime
They're
time.
I
unanimous.
tell you another two-sport guy.
Go ahead.
Caleb Collins. I just out to see one of our youngest.
and how old is he?
Caleb is in 8th grade, and
Is he in 8th grade now?
He was.
recruited for
I was just
Gateway.
out of Rochester to watch him play basketball. Excellent basketball player. He's probably going to start
Did they win?
basketball and football for varsity in 9th grade for Rochester. Yeah, it was. I left at halftime. It was like 50-2.
Who
You
does
left
Rochester have to play?
I got there late and left early, huh?
Who does Rochester got to play?
Hey, well, that's a first.
First
Hey,
for
you see
today.
Clareton's coach, Nola? He
What's
put
her
in,
name?
he put in for the Gateway's position,
Really?
coaching position, and being that he really wasn't coaching Clareton, if he get a good enough staff, he won't have to coach Gateway either. All he does is walk around on the sideline.
Are you putting your resume in? You putting your resume in?
No. I'm a hands-on coach. I got to. If I can't put my hands on you, brother, and
So
nowadays
you
you
and
can't
Woody
do it.
Hayes would be like the same type of guy?
Yeah, we're cut out of the same
I
cloth.
still
Me,
put
Woody
my hands
Hayes,
on
and Pete Annamarino. We're all cut out the same.
Hey.
Coach Annamarino used to put us through a
Hey, Jim,
locker at
in all
halftime.
seriousness, I ask you a question. Did you set up a post office box in Monroeville for Caleb?
I heard one of the coach, the ex-coach has all these apartment buildings, so there's an empty room or two in it.
I heard there's this empty land in
And
God's
his,
country.
and his beautiful sister is in Washington, D.C., touring. She's one of the top dancers in the,
Say
in the
her
whole
name,
country.
'cause I can't
Anae
pronounce.
Collins, the beautiful Anae Collins. So
She was a guest on our show in
Good
the
I
dude,
audience.
saw today at the Monessen football banquet, they gave out T-shirts that said 45-24, we ended the streak. So to me, the Monessen football program is like the Cleveland Browns when they beat the Steelers during the regular season. You know, you didn't win anything. You just ended a streak with a bunch. You know, Tyler Boyd and some of the best players in the history of the Whippeal moved on, and Clayton's rebuilding right now. So I expect them to bounce back strong this year.
why? Just blow it up. Oh, you mean a team. What you meant.
All right, enough of this revisitation here. We're just going to go to Sip Sports Bar. Every Monday night is Pittsburgh Sportsline. Another great crowd there. We even had a coach, Pittsburgh Ranger Developmental Football League. Bill Miller was there, and he actually played baseball against the gentleman sitting next to me, and he remembers Chip Hayner being a pitcher.
Miller time! You play baseball with Miller time!
And
Wow!
that's a shout out to Bill Miller. The only thing is his memory's a little foggy after all the years. He could have sworn Chip was a lefty because he kept striking him out all the time. But he's a right-hander. So he did know him.
I did strike out a few people, though.
And one of his players, Josh, Superman was just a big guy. He loved the show.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, they were in the audience last night enjoying the atmosphere, and it's a great live atmosphere. That we have at
So
Sips.
come on out. We start filming roughly around 7:30, quarter to 8 for an hour. It depends. Last night was a little later. We had some problems. A shout out to Aaron Ward.
Aaron.
Her car is under the weather also. So we'll see what happens there. But Sunday night, they always have trivia night. Smoking Jim knows more about this. You should be announcing this. Between you and Brandy,
Jeez.
he's there more times than anybody else. Tuesday night, Campede's 50-cent pizza night. Shout out to the Campede's. We got to go and get some more pizzas.
He's there in spirit.
Yeah, I understand. Then Wednesday night, it's just Smoking Jim night. He just shows up. They got drink specials,
ladies'
food
night.
specials. They say ladies' night, but I don't know about that. Smoking Jim's there. He's always ordering up something for some of the ladies he brings. Thursday night's wing night. Plus, they do have other specials, happy hour and everything. Karaoke on Friday, other entertainment Saturday night. They got big fish sandwiches on Friday, the double fish. We're not talking about it because we didn't have a meatball hoagie last week. That was 2 weeks ago. And that's Sip Sports Bar. We'll move on to Smoking Jim. Get ready. This is one of my favorites. Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
It's me acting like Bruno halftime, brother.
Bruno.
I can beat the drums. But my fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac goes all the way back to 1996. The week after we drafted Jerome Bettis. Jerome Bettis came here, and our good friend who owns the Savoy, Chuck Sanders at the time, owned a nightclub that I frequent. And Jerome Bettis was in there with his diamond ring.
How did we draft him? He played for the
We traded for him on a draft.
On the draft pick.
Draft day trade.
Yes,
Draft
it
day
was.
trade.
We got to correct you on your fiction and
Thank you
fact.
so much.
Because
Thank
that's
you
why
for
there's
being
some
honest.
fiction, and now you got the fact.
Well, right after the draft that we acquired, Tom Donahoe did a great job of getting Jerome Bettis. He was at Chuck Sanders' club, and I went right up to Jerome Bettis and says, I wanted us to draft A-Train. And Jerome Bettis says, well, I'll make a believer out of you, and he sure did. And it is a shame that Jerome Bettis did not get into the Hall of Fame. A few months after that, Jerome Bettis was on Superstars. Remember the Superstars competition? Mm-hmm. And they had a thing where to see who had the best hands in the NFL for running backs. And he came in a close second to Herschel Walker. So it was unbelievable how well he caught the football. And then at training camp, I went to training camp, and because I knew if Jerome Bettis be there, there'd be a lot of women around the bus. They
Weren't they
the
calling
Bettis.
you Jerome back then?
I tell you what,
those glasses.
they loved him. They loved him up there in
glasses?
Latrobe. But Jerome Bettis, back then, probably one of the best rushers of the quarterback I ever seen. Natural pass rushers was Greg Lloyd. And Greg Lloyd just used to have his way with the running backs on running backs versus linebacker drills. And he just used to just cut right through those guys. Jerome Bettis came up, stonewalled Greg Lloyd twice. And then you remember back what a great blocking fullback he was at Notre Dame. And here Jerome Bettis has run for 13,662 yards, which he is the 6th all-time leading rusher. He was NFL Rookie of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year. Jerome Bettis has additionally 200 receptions for 1,500 yards. And I tell you what, I think the guy should be in the Hall of Fame. And from what I'm hearing from the inside people that I know that have votes, because I put it out before. If you check some of my posts, I put it out 2 days before the voting that Jerome Bettis and Tony Dungy, let there be light on Little Z. But I put it out prior to. I made some phone calls with some people that had the votes, and they told me Jerome Bettis nor Tony Dungy was getting in the Hall of Fame, and they told me to keep it under my hat, so I put it out there on the internet. But they also told me that Jerome Bettis probably won't get in again next year. So that's my fiction and facts from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Jerome Bettis says he's going to make a believer out of me, and he did.
Thank you.
Do you think that kickers and punters are football players?
Part-time guys don't belong in the Hall of Fame.
Well, you know,
And not that Ray guy cost Jerome Bettis a spot because he was in the seniors thing, so he didn't really cost a spot.
Yeah.
But Derek Brooks,
well,
you think of the greatest linebackers all time? Do you think of Derek Brooks?
No, but it's Black History
Jim,
Month.
you know, this is one of the things that I think. You know, Curtis Martin
throws it all
and
out.
Jerome Bettis, their careers parallel
Yeah.
each other pretty closely. And I believe that number 5 on the list is Curtis Martin
yes,
by
sir.
a few yards.
Mhm.
Okay? Now, if Curtis Martin is worthy of being in the Hall of Fame, then I say Jerome Bettis is worthy of being in the Hall of Fame every day of the week. If one
I agree.
is,
Well, Jerome
if
Bettis
one is
is
good enough to be in it, both of them
In
are.
the top 14 of all-time rushers, Jerome Bettis is the only one not in the Hall of Fame right now.
That's eligible. You're right.
eligible.
And I want to bring up a point
But
while
they
you guys are.
stonewalled Art Monk for how long, and he was the all-time leading wide receiver for how long, and they stonewalled him for
But
a
there's
long
little
time.
things like
Yep.
when they say 3.9 yards that he's averaging. How many runs did he only have to run a yard to get a first down, to get a touchdown?
Well-
That actually held down his average. I remember one game he had 3 touchdowns, and I think he had 5 yards.
Well, you know, I think the thing that hurt Jerome more than anything
Little
else
point.
is the first 10 years of his career, Jerome was the workhorse. He carried the bulk of the load.
Right.
He was who the offense was tailored around. The last 3 years of his career, he was a role player. He did not play, consistently every down. Willie Parker started coming in. He became the featured back. Jerome was the third down guy. He was the goal line guy. And I think because of the fact that he became a part-time player the last 3 years of his career, I think that hurt his chances of getting elected. But personally, myself, I think
No, he's going to get in. It's just a matter of when. That's
Yeah, it'll
all.
be a while. What really hurt Jerome's chances, and this is inside information I shouldn't be releasing, but I will.
Not in the parking lot.
But what hurt
Not outside in the parking lot.
A couple
sir.
things hurt Jerome Bettis. There was things, and I can't find out exactly what. And as soon as I will, I'll let the world know.
We know that. You
But
keep a secret. I'm
Jerome
telling you.
Bettis was doing a good job on NBC. And something happened on NBC. I'm not saying it was the same thing that hurt Tiki Barber.
Okay.
But something happened on NBC when they fired Jerome Bettis because he was doing good. I think he was better than Rodney Harrison on there. And that that's
another subject
yeah,
for
Hines
another
Ward.
time. We're on
Hines
Jerome
Ward
right
now. Let
wasn't
him
any
finish.
good. But there's something that happened with NBC that ticked off the people that are in the communication, journalism, print media business, and the writers.
Wow.
So there's some kind of inside info, and they will not, because you run for 13,000 yards, you're in the Hall of Fame. I don't care what your yard per carry is, you
Sure.
know. But
We agree.
But
Yeah.
once I find that out,
Let me know.
Come back and tell us.
Yeah. Please come back to the show.
Write it down.
All right, that's enough of that segment. We even revisited Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Now we're going to go to one of my favorites, Chip's Trivia Time.
Thank you, Alan. Let me get my readers on here. First bit of trivia that I'd like to throw out for you folks today. There's one Hall of Fame athlete was drafted by 4 teams in 3 different sports. Any
Thorpe?
guesses on who that might be?
Jim Thorpe?
He was drafted by the San Diego Padres, the Utah Stars, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Minnesota Vikings. And it's Hall of Fame Dave Winfield.
Wow, yeah, that's right.
Played most of his
Dave
first
Winfield.
part of his career for San Diego before the only person that could afford him was George
Nice.
Steinbrenner. Okay.
Good one.
There's one Major League Baseball player who had the proud honor of playing on 3 consecutive teams that made it to the World Series. They were 3 different teams. He made it in 1986, 87, and 88. Don Baylor.
Wow.
He played for the Red Sox in 86, and they lost to the Mets. He played for the Twins in 1987, and he won a world title. And then he played for the A's in 88, and that was the year that Kirk Gibson hit that home run
Yeah.
in the first game of the World Series, and the Dodgers swept the A's that year. Next up on my list here, in a 25-year span from, I believe it was 1977 to 2001, there was three Major League Baseball teams that won, besides the Yankees. There was three Major League Baseball teams that won 2 World Series. Those teams would have been the Los Angeles Dodgers that won in 81 and 88.
Did they?
The Minnesota Twins won in 1987 and 1991. Jack Morris pitched them to the World Series.
The guy with the one eye. Huh?
No.
He's the guy we got years later, and he couldn't throw.
And the Toronto Blue Jays went back-to-back World Championships, 1992, 1993. And, Zach has always been critical about the Pirates and their 20 years of futility, but I've got a better record of futility that I'd just like to bring to everybody's attention. And the lovable losers from Chicago, the Cubs, last won the World Series in 1908, okay? Since 1908, they have lost the World Series 7 times. The last time they appeared in the World Series was in 1945. And I think that
that's futility.
I think the Cubs, it might be 2045 before they make it back again.
The prophet has spoken.
Cal Ripken was noted in baseball for breaking the Ironman Lou Gehrig's consecutive game streak. Okay, the next. So Cal Ripken has the record. Lou Gehrig is in second place, and the next 3 players on the list have all had consecutive game streaks of over 1,000 games, which is pretty impressive. And the 3 people that have done that is Steve Garvey with 1,207, first baseman for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Miguel Tejada, believe it or not, 1,152, and he's somebody that got caught up in the steroid scandal. And Billy Williams, he was a Chicago Cub for a lot of years, a Hall of Famer.
He was hoping they'd win one year.
He was hoping, and he still is. All right, now here, this is a good one. I see if my friend Smoking Jim gets this.
Oh, yeah.
There is a father and son combination that won Rookie of the Year honors, okay? A father and son combination that won rookie, not necessarily in the same sport. One of them was in the NFL, one was in the NBA.
Calvin Hill?
And his son, Grant.
Mm-hmm.
I knew you'd get that.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Smoking Jim's on fire.
Okay,
Yes.
I got 2 more for you. Only one.
Hold it. Was there heavy money on that one?
No. I had to throw my buddy Jim. You
gave him a softball. I think, on that one.
Heavy money is when your feet go in buckets.
I throw some cement. And to kind of wrap this up, if you're a hockey fan like Jim is,
He's a big fan. He loves fighting.
You know who the original 6 are, okay?
He doesn't.
And
Tell
to
him.
kind of, bring people up to speed on this, the original
Bring 'em up.
6
The Maple Leafs.
were the 6 original teams that started playing in the
Red Wings.
NHL, okay?
Right.
And there's only one of the original 6 teams that has not won a Stanley Cup since 1967. And to know who that team might be, you would have to know who the original 6 are. And the original 6 are the Boston Bruins, the New York Rangers, the Chicago Blackhawks, the Detroit Red Wings, Montreal Canadiens, and the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I always get Detroit mixed up.
And the Toronto Maple Leafs were the only one of the original 6 that has not won the Stanley Cup
He
since
didn't know that.
1967.
He said, "What country's that?"
That's Canada.
Yeah.
That's our last.
Okay, my last but not the least, and I just wanted to make note of this because I know some people, and I kind of guide this towards Zach, and I'm not trying to give him a shot. I'm just doing that because
Give
of
him a
Zach-
shot.
because of Zach's age. Okay, and then people question why is Pete Rose not in the Hall of Fame? Well, on this date, February 4th, in 1991, the doors of Cooperstown were slammed shut on Pete Rose when the Hall of Fame's Board of Directors voted 12-0 to bar players on the permanently ineligible list from consideration. So that was a unanimous vote by the Board of Directors of Cooperstown, which is the Baseball Hall of Fame. So,
But that's after he signed that he was on that list.
yep. Well, they've made sure that he will never be
Right.
in the Hall of Fame, and he doesn't belong there.
It doesn't
In other
matter.
words,
Who's the
don't
all-time hits
sign.
leader in baseball?
Don't sign the
Pete
paper.
Rose.
I agree.
They can't take it away from
Hold
him.
it. Who won the most college football games?
Joe Paterno.
Bobby Bowden.
Wrong.
It's Joe, Paul.
We're gonna
Eddie
move.
Robinson?
I don't know.
They don't even have a team right now
Did he?
in Grambling.
Huh?
Them kids didn't even want to play ball. Talk about hands-on.
Well, since we didn't talk much about the Super Bowl, what'd you think of that game?
I thought it was a debacle. I think it was fifth
I agree with Zach.
from the opening gate.
And
he
you
said
two winners.
56 times Omaha, and then he doesn't even say Omaha once. The first play goes over his head, and I didn't see Peyton Manning throw one good ball.
How can
the
you
whole
say
game.
Omaha with the Adam's apple out to here?
He said it all the other weeks.
Choked on that ham sandwich.
Choking.
Now, you know what, the Super Bowl game, one of the things that I enjoyed about the game, and I made a joke about this last night, the fact that I picked it right, but the thing I enjoyed about the Super Bowl game this year, sure, it was a blowout, but what you saw was a game that was decided by good defensive play.
A lot of thugs.
The Seattle Seahawks did
Lot of
not get
brothers.
flagged for any illegal hits. You didn't see, fights after the play. They just played solid football. They busted Denver in the mouth on the first play, and they kept on hitting them. And pretty soon, Denver just kind of gave up. And in the second half, it looked like Denver lost its will to even be there. They weren't tackling people.
Well, I think some of them might have,
yeah,
because you saw half of the team playing, because you don't complete all those passes.
Yeah,
and
but
keep
I
some
mean,
of
if you're
them-
throwing 4-yard passes, I could complete 34 passes.
And
Peyton
what was
Manning didn't
Demarius
throw
Thomas
one ball
doing?
longer
Did you
than
see
15
Demarius
yards.
Thomas?
Okay.
Every time Demaryius Thomas got the ball, he was running backwards. Like he didn't want to get hit. Number 88 for the
No,
Broncos.
he was trying to gain more yardage by going backwards.
I didn't
almost
really
cost him
really
points.
watch the game that close. I
you
was
didn't
with
watch it.
Miss Heather, and I had my eye on
Miss
Miss
Heather.
Heather. Yeah,
Oh.
we're at Sips.
Nah, you snuck in. I knew there was something about
But
you.
let me know. Let all your fans know about the 12th man, the thing you shared.
Oh
with me.
yeah, and then me, I come up with useless bits of information, and I like to share them with everybody, and when I can. The thing that happened in the game is that the Seahawks scored. Well, let me just preface this: the Seahawks have the 12th man. Okay, that's what they call
These
their
people
fan
are all
base.
smart out there. They know.
Okay.
They know about the 12th man.
So
They got
the
11
See you two
guys on
The
a football
Seahawks
field.
scored their first points on a safety 12 seconds into the game.
A record.
In the second half, Percy Harvin ran the opening kickoff back. He scored 12 seconds
A
into
record.
the second half.
12th man, baby.
So the 12th man, 12 seconds into the first half, 12 seconds
like
into the
that.
second half, and Seattle scored.
Kind
It
of
was
stuff I
destined to be.
love. I love that.
Well, I
stuff.
also heard a rumor, I don't know if this is factual, that there was a bet made, and it wasn't heavy money, it was small money. I heard if you put $20 up and scored a safety on the first play, you'd
It's
win
$1
$1 million.
It wasn't
So
true.
many people bet that, they said that it was $20 million, so it couldn't
Mark
be true.
Cuban
Yeah,
sparked
Twitter.
it.
Twitter with Twitter,
Well,
yeah.
And said he put
Well,
$1
they're
million
having
on
some
it.
fun.
Well,
Right.
the books in Vegas won the most money they've ever won on any Super Bowl because 70% of the money was on Denver. And,
Well, no, I heard it was 69%. I'm teasing.
you're gonna split hairs.
Some of that money from Vegas had to fly to Pittsburgh.
Listen, I was watching The Simpsons last night, folks, before I fell asleep, and I saw Macaroni Tony in an episode last
Hold
night.
it, wait a second. Did you
That's
see
his
that?
bookie, so I don't know.
Hey,
I don't
speaking,
know.
without promoting gambling, but did you see how I discovered why Smoking Jim bet Seattle?
I like that.
Homer Simpson, 8 years ago, there was a screenshot. You can go to Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook, and you can see Homer Simpson. Seattle had 14, and it looked like Denver only had 10. I couldn't quite make it out, but it looks like they were a loser, and in another episode, they had talked poorly about Denver. So,
The last thing I want to say about the Super Bowl is that offense will get you in a record book, but defense wins championships.
I like
Yeah,
that.
well, how come?
I like that.
Riddle me this one. Why is Andre Reed? Why is Andre Reed in the Hall of Fame and not Jerome Bettis? Andre Reed, them Buffalo Bills couldn't buy a Super Bowl ring if they tried. They lost all 4 tries that they were there.
But they did something no team ever did, and they made it to 4 consecutive Super Bowls. That in and
And
of
lost
itself
all
was
if
four.
they had a
feat.
kicker that could have made just one field goal, it would have changed.
And all 4 Super Bowls?
They would have had one win.
And plus,
Yeah,
That would
beat the
change
Giants.
it.
and
They
plus
beat the
Andre Reed played college ball at Kutztown State.
Where?
Pennsylvania guy.
I don't care what he played in. The boy deserves to be in Canton.
And if you like the conversation, call in 412-831-3304.
If you put Curtis Martin, did Curtis Martin
Talk
ever
to
win a
Z.
Super Bowl?
Never.
He didn't win a Super Bowl. So
Never.
you put him in.
How many Dan Marino win?
None.
Okay.
How many did Curtis Martin win?
He just said.
None. But I'm just saying. So, but Jerome Bettis won a Super Bowl. But
He'll
he
get
ran for
there.
over
You just said he's
13,000
gonna.
yards.
You
I
just said
agree
he's
with
gonna
you.
be like Art
I
Monk.
agree with
No,
that.
I believe there's some validity in what Jim said.
There's
You know,
something.
because I tell you what, the sports writers, they are vindictive, and when they feel that somebody has wronged them, until
Hold it,
the
you're
entire
talking about
generation
Brooks.
of sports writers dies, Pete Rose will never be consistent.
Yeah.
Considered for the Hall of Fame.
Well, look at Lynn Swann. They held him out of the
Yeah.
Hall of Fame for a long time because when he played, if TV was here and the print media was here, he'd go to TV, blow you off, and they. John Clayton never forgot that.
I actually think Pete Rose has a great chance of getting into the Hall of Fame after all these old guys die, and it's the younger guys because
he'll probably die before them.
he might be
But,
dead, but eventually he'll probably get in.
But you think about this, Bill Mazurowski,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh
Yeah.
local favorite. It took until 2001 for him to
Well,
get into the Hall
unlike football, when they hear defense in baseball, they don't like hearing that. If you're the greatest defensive second baseman,
Was he great or what?
he
I
was.
heard
They
he
don't want to
could-
hear
I
it.
tell you
Heard
what,
he
he
could
was
turn
the
a double
greatest
play.
second baseman, and Ozzie Smith was the greatest shortstop. I'd have liked to see those two play next to each other.
Wow.
I'd have liked to have been the pitcher.
Different eras, but
I would have liked to have been the pitcher on that team and have a ground ball going up the middle.
Right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed,
Okay.
because I am.
it would never make it up the middle.
That's my point. Bingo.
I would go with Roberto Alomar and probably Derek Jeter. That would be a fierce combination for a second baseman and
Derek
shortstop
Jeter is
combination.
every bit of a first ballot Hall of Famer, and it's unfortunate that of all the people that got elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame, nobody has been a unanimous selection.
That sticks in his craw. When I put that up about 1936, the first 5 players, they weren't unanimous, and those are legends.
The Boy Scouts are out there locking us in.
Uh-oh.
Well, you know what? They heard about all this controversial talk, and they heard about heavy
I
money.
heard something about
They want to know what this heavy
Hey, you
money
know what?
is.
Can if I
Yeah.
may go off.
Go ahead, because we're off the segment.
We're off the reservation. But, the next thing I wanted to talk about was the Pitt basketball team. And the Pitt
Whoa, were you
basketball
reading
team
that?
is playing in the ACC for their first year. And they lost 2 tough games in a row last week. And, one of the criticisms that I have about the Pitt basketball program is that they don't play anybody for the first 14 or 15 games of the season. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting into the time when you should be honing your team to be tournament ready, and all of their flaws are being exposed. And I will make a bold prediction, as I have been known to make.
Whoa.
I will predict that the Pitt Panthers will make the NCAA tournament.
Oh, good.
And will make a first-round exit as well.
Hey, listen, when they had Brandon Knight, Chevy Troutman, and those boys, when that was when the Big East was rough, and that's when they really started to establish it at Madison Square Garden. They were playing the best of the best. So I mean, now they're playing the
Was
best.
Ben Howland the coach?
He might have
That's
been.
the difference.
He might have been the coach, but I'm just specifically saying.
Sammy
Now,
Dixon
you
has
can
one of the
run,
best
but you
10-year
can't hide.
records ever,
You can
buddy.
run, but you can't hide. I mean, they got Syracuse, they got Duke, they got North Carolina, they got Clemson. I mean, they got.
But here's the
Go
problem with
Pitt. Go Pitt.
Every single team that Pitt has played with an RPI of less than 50, okay, one of the top teams they've lost to.
Yeah, that's true.
So that is going to affect them badly. They're going to be a very low seed, and they're going to get knocked out by a higher seeded team in the first round. I don't expect them to be any higher than a 12 or 13 seed. I don't see them anywhere in the middle of the pack because they're not beating any of the quality teams.
Well, once they show that they can win a couple of these games, because that's where they've been suffering, they got that choking disease that Smoking Jim talks about. If you can have a lead in the last 7-8 minutes, you should try to carry that down to the last minute or two, and they have.
You should be able to hit your free throws.
Right. Well, and then you should be able to make a couple baskets when you're doing a layup. When you go in for those layups, those are the ones you're supposed to make, and they get inside pretty well there.
Well,
and miss them.
And I noticed that
Those little bunnies aren't going in.
Well, that's another thing. They rebound well, but they get 3-4 tries at the basket, and they still come.
And they're
away
not
with no
hitting their
points,
free
and that's
throws
really
either.
what's
That's
what he-
really their Achilles heel. They need to start practicing the free throws in Oakland.
Definitely.
You
That's
can get better
good.
at that.
That's
Practice
been my
makes perfect, unless you're Shaquille O'Neal.
Dixon's.
They do practice a
Soaking
lot from what I hear, but they got to get beyond that. Hey, enough of that. What do you guys think about? I got this fractured gear on here. Gladiators of the
there you
Cage.
go.
There we go.
That's
There
some
you
good
go.
stuff. Good stuff.
We had some nice MMA guys. Chris Dempsey, Dominic.
Yeah,
Two nice guys.
Two nice guys.
Jim
I wouldn't want to
Ajay,
walk into them
the
in a
writer.
dark alley. Man,
Yeah.
those boys look like they could hurt somebody.
Very
And
interesting.
enjoy it.
Or get hurt.
No, when that show gets posted up, you'll see some great interviews with these guys and great athletes too. And you can see the shape that they're in. So it's a tough sport. These guys.
Yeah, the one guy lost from 280-pound college wrestler all the way down.
Who did he wrestle? Or I mean, who was he?
Carl
Hasselrig, right? And
Who
he's
they changed the rules for. I mean, you can't. He was 6-time NCAA champ because he won the Division II championship, then move up and win the Division I championship. They said no more of that.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
and that's one of your fiction and fact with Black History Month.
that's right. And he married a girl from Monroeville.
What country is that?
God's country.
Well, we're winding down. We got about 2 minutes or so. Little Z, you don't have to rebut that God's country because you were out there shoveling all weekend. We respect that. I don't know how you did it on the Super Bowl. What else is going on, Little Z?
Hey, I'm just happy. I'm just finishing up a big drywall job down in the Strip District for the fellas at Click.
What do you
Vodka.
do as your business? We didn't mention anything like that.
What do you mean? What do I do? I do everything. I build walls. I'm responsible for the water you drink coming out of your faucet. I'm responsible for where that water goes after it goes down your drain. I'm responsible for the roof that's over your head. So basically, I pretty much cover all the bases. The heat, everything.
How do they get a hold of you?
412-583-5047 or go like Brenner Contracting on Facebook and Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook.
Well, you like us, we'll like
Like
you.
you.
That's how we roll. Smoking Jim, what's going on with you there, buddy?
Well, the one thing was Kirby Puckett only had one eye, right? Did he lose his eye?
Yeah,
later
yes,
on
he
in
did.
the-
At the end of his career, he did.
Okay, that's what I
That's
thought.
what caused him to captain.
Hey, Columbo did too. You know,
My
Peter Paul,
favorite. My
Columbo.
favorite. Yeah, he only had one eye.
Yeah.
But when they won World Series, he had them both, and he was hitting the cover off the ball.
As we wind down,
But if
do you have
anybody-
anything else on your mind?
Anybody want to go to my Facebook page? I have a blog up, a weekly blog that I'm putting who the Steelers should draft. And this blog is Mike Evans. So go read it and let me know what you think.
Mike Evans, and that would be the wide receiver that
Texas
played with
A&M.
Johnny Manziel.
That's it.
Wow, I like him.
Folks at home.
I like him. Chip,
But that's
what do you
not who we're
got?
going to pick.
What do you got going on here? Anything you want to put out
Not
there?
much going on. I'm getting geared up for baseball season. I'm looking forward.
Oh, we didn't get to touch on that. We didn't get to look at that. We skipped right over that.
Sorry, we got
Spring
nothing to talk
training is
about.
coming up.
We got nothing to talk about just yet. So,
Well-
you know what?
There's nothing to talk about on the north side anyways.
All right, enough of that, guys. We're going to wind it down. We got T-minus 30 seconds here. I don't know if I can close this out. But we had a great show Monday nights. You got to come out to the Sip Sports Bar. Jim Ajay is going to come out from Steel Nation Magazine. 2 more of his MMA guys are coming out. We may have other guests. Bill Miller from the Pittsburgh Rangers is supposed to be. I got some special guests that will be there. I want to thank Dr. Trina Hess, who
Yes.
Little Z got to meet. She's the unicycle lady, and she's also a doctor of comedy. So thanks, Tiger Kiger. Thanks, Devin Shea. Aaron, sorry your car's not running.
Dave
Good
Cable.
night, everybody. Dave Cable, thanks. Good luck on jury duty.